Everyone knows that the United States has a massive national debt. Huge, gigantic, like $37 trillion. How did they end up with so much debt? And how are they going to pay off such a huge amount? No one really knows, and no one can say for sure how the US will pay off that debt. But today, someone has come out and said that the US has a plan to wipe out that $37 trillion debt using stablecoins. The person who made this statement is a senior advisor to President Vladimir Putin of Russia. He spoke at the Eastern Economic Forum, which is a national-level economic platform in Russia, just this past September. So in this video, I wanted to dig a little deeper and see how exactly did they do it? How did they manage to wipe out that much debt? Honestly, saying they wiped out the debt might be a bit strong. Let's say they slashed the value of that debt to make it easier to pay off. So how did they do it? Is it really possible? Support the information on how the US managed to reduce $37 trillion in debt by scanning this QR code. Or if you want to support the Sci Money Monster channel in a super easy way, just hit like, share, and leave a comment to chat and have fun with us. And please don't forget to subscribe. Just once per person is enough. If you've already subscribed, no need to do it again. Thank you so much. Thank you. Before we get into the massive issue of the $37 trillion debt crisis in the United States, it is essential that we first discuss just how serious that $37 trillion debt really is. Starting with the national debt, the figure of $37 trillion is roughly equivalent to a staggering 118.8% of the US GDP. To put it simply, imagine if the United States made $100, they would have to pay $118.80 just to cover their debt. So the debt is already higher than their income, right? That's not good. It's not sustainable. And when we talk about debt, what always comes with it is interest. This huge debt means the US has the burden of paying interest alone, just the interest, at about $1.13 trillion per year. Trillion dollars. That's money set aside just to pay interest, not to develop the country, grow the economy, build schools, or for any public infrastructure at all, as government spending remains high. The US budget deficit is currently negative 6.4%, and forecasts suggest it could drop further. Revenue is way less than expenses, and the debt situation is so obvious, the numbers are practically screaming it out. There's a huge amount of debt, but income is less than spending. Just think for yourself, when will they ever be able to pay off that $37 trillion? It'll never be paid off. It's impossible. How could they ever pay it all back? So what should the US do then? Should America just default on its debt? Just go ahead and default? That's not possible, because if the United States were to default on its debt, what would follow is that America's credibility would be completely gone. If there's no credibility left, forget about just the US economy. Even the US dollar might not have a place in the world anymore. The devastation would be like the entire world as we know it. Because, to be completely honest, the global financial system today is fundamentally built upon trust. So if that trust disappears, absolutely nothing will have any real value left at all. That's why we absolutely cannot let that trust be shaken. So there simply has to be a reliable way forward. To technically bring down the value of the debt by just a small amount. Hey, this debt is already pretty easy to manage and pay off. But when we're talking about $37 trillion, that's huge. That's world-class level. So technically, how can we reduce the value of such a massive debt? Well, let's go through it together in this video. Let's start with the specific person who first brought up this topic on a national stage. Like I said, the idea of crashing the total value of America's $37 trillion debt, I'm certainly not the one who said it. The person who actually did is Anton Kobyakov, a senior advisor to Russian President Vladimir Putin. He's been a trusted senior advisor for a very long time, too. He made this official statement at the recent Eastern Economic Forum, which was held just this past September. And this is what Anton said. The United States is trying to rewrite the rules of the gold and crypto markets. And America's ultimate goal is to push the entire world into a system called the crypto cloud. And once the world is in the crypto cloud system, he said that it will cause America's $37 trillion in value to move into what's called the stablecoin world. Once all that value has shifted into stablecoins, what we have to do next is reduce the value of the stablecoins. That's all it takes for the debt ledger to be wiped clean. Let's listen to a short audio clip, just a bit since it's in Russian. I question the value of the loan. I mean, whether it's actually possible or not, I honestly have no idea. But the fact that this is being discussed on a national stage in Russia is incredibly fascinating to witness, right? So let's take a closer look at how they plan to reduce that massive $37 trillion debt value. Exactly how are they planning to pull that off? Okay, let's say you borrow money from someone. I'll use dollars as an example to make it easier to explain. So you borrow $100 from someone. How do you pay it back? Well, you just find $100 and pay back the person you borrowed from, right? But this method, borrowing $100 and paying back $100, let me give you a definition. This is called the hard way to pay off debt. This is the common way that regular people like us have to do it. It's tough and inconvenient because to pay someone back, you have to go out and earn the money first, right? That's how you get the $100 to pay them back. But what if you were a magician? A magician like the United States, which has the power of being the owner of the dollar, the currency that holds the title of the world's reserve currency. So they have a much easier way to pay back money. They just use magic, literally conjuring up more money. By the way, thanks to Duchess for the Nespresso coffee. So if America comes to borrow $100 from you, America can just use its magic, right? They can just conjure up another $100. So they borrow 100, then conjure up another 100, and use that 100 to pay you back. It looks like, hey, the debt is fully repaid, but technically that's not really the case. On paper, the numbers add up, but the actual purchasing power of the dollar has dropped by half because the money supply has increased, right? The amount of money has gone up. So when they pay you back the $100, you do get your $100 back, but it's actually $100 that now has half the purchasing power. You get it? You're holding the same $100 bill, but it's not really the same because it buys less. Just picture it. The economic output hasn't increased. Everything stays the same. There's the same amount of gold, the same amount of goods, but there's more money in circulation. So what happens is that everything gets more expensive. That's inflation. You can see this clearly in the graphs. This really happens in the real world using this exact technique. Gold goes up a lot, Bitcoin goes up a lot, stocks go up a lot, and even real estate goes up. When all these asset prices shoot up like this, does it mean that the same amount of gold is suddenly worth more? Or that one Bitcoin is suddenly worth more? Not at all. It's actually the money that's losing value. And this is something they've been doing over and over again since after World War II. But there was a period of inflation during the 1970s, and if we look at more recent modern times, it was right after COVID-19 when the M2 money supply skyrocketed. Assets were there was just so much money floating around. So what Russia said about the United States planning to use stablecoins to reduce the value of its $37 trillion debt isn't anything new. It's something the US has done many times before. Just this time, they're using a new tool, which is called a stablecoin. That's all there is to it. So the next question is, how will the United States use stablecoins to reduce the value of its debt? It's not like the US is going to convert its $37 trillion of debt into stablecoins. That's not how it works. Instead, it's about issuing regulations. If you haven't seen the video about the Genius Act regulations, go check it out. I already made a video on that. The regulation says that stablecoins must be backed 1-to-1 by the dollar or by assets from the Treasury, meaning it can be assets like US government bonds as well, but they must have a 1-to-1 value. If you're confused or don't get it, go watch the Genius Act video again. Watch it 2 or 3 times until you understand. So when you use dollars to back stablecoins, right, this will lead to what I mentioned earlier, the attempt to bring the whole world into a system called the stablecoin cloud. So if the whole world starts using stablecoins that are pegged to $1 and they're right there on everyone's phones, super easy to use, smooth as butter, transfers are convenient, spending is a breeze, and the fees are so low, don't forget that all these stablecoins are pegged to the dollar or assets in US treasuries. So the more people use stablecoins, like, wow, even more than actual dollars. Do you know what that means? It's essentially like spreading out the debt. And once the debt is spread, what exactly happens after that? Since stablecoins are pegged to the dollar, right? That ends up gradually weakening the value of the dollar. The dollar gets weaker, and overall, inflation starts to climb. And when the dollar inflates, 11, right? Stablecoins would have to weaken as well. And since stablecoins are in everyone's hands now, right? Just imagine, whether it's USDT, USDC, or whatever, suddenly their value drops. Sometimes you might not even see it on the chart because the dollar itself is dropping. So everyone ends up participating in helping the United States. Pay off the debt and pass it on. This way, everyone shares the losses equally and with love for all, just like that. So let's move on to a clearer picture of how stablecoins can help spread out the debt for the United States. Like I mentioned, stablecoins are backed 1-to-1 by $1. But that $1 doesn't necessarily have to be an actual dollar. It could be an asset from US treasuries, or even if it's a dollar, it's still an asset from US treasuries. So when everyone holds stablecoins, it means everyone gets to participate in holding assets from US treasuries, even if you haven't actually bought or held US government bonds yourself. This way, we all get to share in holding the debt of the United States together. You could say we're being charitable without even meaning to, but let me tell you, regardless of anything, if we're talking about stablecoins, they promise to be pegged to the dollar or to assets like treasury securities or whatever. Honestly, even if they weaken, they probably won't just disappear, right? That's not the scariest thing. What's even scarier than a stablecoin being pegged to $1 is, are you really sure that the stablecoin, which claims it must be exactly pegged to the dollar, is actually fully backed by dollars? How can you even check that? Because the problem is, it's just impossible for you or even for national level institutions from countries other than the United States to actually verify whether Tether, Circle, or whoever really has the full amount of US dollars backing them as required by law. You only have one option. You have to trust the auditors. And most of the auditors, I'm in the United States. I want to tell you that they have a blockchain system that's verifiable. Blockchain systems are quite transparent and verifiable, but don't forget that the United States can change the rules. It's a head-to-head comparison between a verifiable blockchain and the US, which can change the rules. Who do you think has the upper hand? What? They're a global superpower. So once they set the rules, it doesn't seem likely they just change them on a whim like kids playing Chop, right? You'd think they'd have to keep their word, right? But this has actually happened before. Let's go back to 1971. The United States once made a promise to the whole world, to everyone on the planet, saying, deposit your gold with the US, and you can use what we call the dollar to redeem that gold anytime you want. But then, in 1971, do you remember? President Richard Nixon came out and announced, okay, from now on, the dollar is no longer tied to gold. You can't redeem gold anymore. He said it just like that, as if it was no big deal. From that point on, $1 has never been backed by gold again. And all those promises they made so confidently before? The idea that you could use a single US dollar to redeem gold just turned into a complete joke. So when it comes to stablecoins that claim to be backed one-to-one by a dollar, well, you can probably guess how that goes. Or maybe this story could have a twist ending, like the United States coming out and saying, no, we're not going to weaken the US dollar. We're not going to do that with stablecoins. No, we're not going to use stablecoins that way. The plot twist could be something like that. The US States has the most gold in the world, right? The gold that everyone has deposited there, over 8,000 tons of their own gold, and at least 6,000 tons more. Those are the numbers. They might decide, all right, let's do this. They could just suddenly offload all their gold, causing the value of gold worldwide to collapse entirely. That way, every one of those various countries that have been hoarding gold, especially China, Russia, and all the central banks that have been stockpiling gold, would get caught completely off guard. The United States could pull a massive plot twist by dumping all their gold, making the price of gold plummet. So, for those countries that have been so careful about collecting gold, thinking it's safe, well, they would definitely have to think twice about that. I'll make gold crash and you'll be broke in the blink of an eye. That's the kind of plot twist I'm talking about. Just kidding about what I said earlier. That was just a hypothetical. Here's what really happened. Michael Saylor, the former CEO of a company called MicroStrategy, once gave Donald Trump this advice. He said, Donald Trump, you should sell off all of America's gold and buy Bitcoin instead. That's what Saylor told Donald Trump, that America should be a country that actually has Bitcoin reserves. And do you know what Michael Saylor's plan was? He told Donald Trump that if you sell off all the gold and use that money to buy Bitcoin instead, it would crash the price of gold for rival countries. China and Russia would really feel it. Once we have a Bitcoin strategy, right, we have Bitcoin reserves, right? So we crash the price of gold in those other countries, but we're holding Bitcoin. Then, when the price of Bitcoin skyrockets, we can use it to fill the government's negative balance sheet in no time, just like that. But anyway, this still isn't reality yet, because the idea of a Bitcoin strategy for the United States is still just that, an idea. But again, is this so-called Bitcoin strategy really just an idea? Or is the United States actually playing a Bitcoin proxy game? Oh, and earlier there was a video called Proxy War, right? Proxy war means a war fought by proxies or representatives. In finance, a Bitcoin proxy is someone who buys Bitcoin for others. How does that work? Well, Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy keep buying Bitcoin nonstop. They buy at every price, in huge amounts, and have been doing so continuously all along. So how do we really know if this is actually just a decision made solely by MicroStrategy, or if there's some government involvement behind the scenes? We don't know. Let's just suppose for a moment. If the US government were to use a private company to keep buying up Bitcoin, right? They could just keep buying. It fits with what? With their gold market. They wouldn't have to destroy their own gold reserves, and they'd keep accumulating more and more Bitcoin, all without having to show their hand as the buyer or affect the market directly. They wouldn't have to put their reputation or anything else on the line, just like a proxy war, where the fight is carried out through private companies. The government stays secure and uninvolved. Then, let's say one day that private company ends up holding a massive amount of Bitcoin, enough for the country to have a strategic reserve of Bitcoin for national security. The government could just step in and tell the company, we'll buy 10% of your shares. Done. Yeah, this clip. Just watch it for fun, but keep a critical mind, okay? But anyway, when it comes to the word proxy, whether it's a real proxy war or an economic war, the US is already really good at it. It only hurts when it's with you.